Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
But who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. You can see we're in like day 3 or 4 of the growth. So keep an eye on this and see where it goes. And if I keep it. You guys tell me to keep it. But we're here with our content genius, Michael Rivers, behind the camera and behind all this stuff. Today we're going to react to Taylor Schabusiness. I love that name. But before we do, this is brought to you by ContractsCounsel.com, a partner of eSign. And right now we're doing a plug for them because they really need lawyers. You know, we got a lot of lawyers that are fans. And if you're looking to make a little extra money from home, you know, you're just trying to make a little extra bucks from home, it's an easy way for you to write some contracts for people who really need it. Got a lot of clients and need a lot of lawyers. So ContractsCounsel.com. Go there and do what you got to do to make a little extra money and to get some good work done for some people. Okay, so now Taylor Schabusiness, you know, we reacted to her attacking her lawyer, and I didn't realize who she was at the time. We've been getting a lot of requests for Taylor Schabusiness. So I got the complaint right here. This is funnier. Well, here's the thing. We see a lot of stuff, okay? And some of you people are going to give me shit for making fun of this. It is so outrageous. It is so crazy that you kind of have to laugh at some of this. I mean, it really is absolutely outrageous. So let's kind of talk about what the charges are. First degree intentional homicide, repeater. That means she's got a prior criminal history. Mutilating a corpse. Third degree sexual assault. That's probably with a dead corpse. So those are the 3 charges that she's facing. And these facts are terrible. And it's very difficult when you're a defense lawyer. And you remember, she assaulted her defense lawyer. And I'm assuming this is a different guy, but I'm not entirely sure. Another satisfied customer. What are the facts of this case? Bruce, I don't know anything about this case. Well, let me tell you about this case. So, this has to do with an incident that happened on February 23rd. Oh, Molly, that's your birthday. It's my sister's birthday. Oh, I don't like Molly. All right, so Officer Wanish was dispatched to a resident that is located in the city of Green Bay. You know where Green Bay is? Wisconsin. Brown County, for a report of a severed head found in a bucket in the basement. Upon arrival, Officer Wanish met with TP, who's the victim's mother. Officer Wanish reports he went downstairs to the basement. Once he reached the bottom of the stairs, Officer Wanish observed a plastic bucket on the floor. He observed a shower beach towel over the bucket. He lifted the towel that was over the bucket and observed a human head inside the bucket. Wanish looked around the room and observed what appeared to be dried blood on the nearby mattress. Murder, she wrote. So then we get to, this is Taylor Schabusiness. That was her boyfriend. So Officer Russell reviewed prior photographs of Schabusiness, and he inspected the van, and Officer Russell saw Schabusiness emerge from an apartment building, and upon seeing officers, she stopped. Officer Russell could see that Schabusiness, don't you love that name, Schabusiness, had what appeared to be dried blood on the front of her black hooded sweatshirt, as well as her black sweatpants. Officer Russell later found Schabusiness' hands appeared to be smeared with blood as well, and there was also what looked like dried blood on the back of her sweatshirt. So, whose blood do you suppose that might be? Officer Russell asked Schabusiness if she knew why officers were there, and she stated something that sounded like, for a warrant for my arrest. Yeah. So one of the things that, you know, this is a drug-fueled episode, and it gets worse. So in the rear passenger seat behind the driver's seat, Detective Alberta reports that in the rear passenger seat behind the driver's seat was a crock pot box. Medical examiner Vincent Tranchita went to the box, and which was on top of a laundry basket of clothes, and located additional human body parts, including legs. Can you imagine? I mean, I got a call one night on New Year's Eve, and it's my client's brother. And my client was driving around with his dead girlfriend in the back of the car, and they wanted to know what we should do. I said, well, just drop it off over at my office partner's house. He's in Florida. He's got an alibi. I did not say that, actually. So Detective Scanlon reports that during a search, a human head severed from the neck was located in the bucket in the basement near the stairs. The head was identified visually in comparison with other prior photographs of the victim, and it was confirmed to be the victim. According to Tranchita, there was visual evidence of strangulation observed. Now, ligature marks, that's what they call them, around the neck. Other body parts were found in the basement in other bags, including plastic shopping bags, along with 3 knives, including a bread knife consistent with kitchen knives located in a storage tote. An upper torso was located. The upper torso had numerous rigid cuts in the side where the head was removed, consistent with a separated head. Also located in the tote was a carving knife, consistent with the kitchen knife, and several internal organs. So when you get a case like this as a defense lawyer, you sort of have to say, oh shit. Because what's your defense? We'll get to that in a second. So the victim's mother, the victim and Schabusiness, returned to the home and went into the basement. So TP was the victim's mother. TP went into the basement and did not see anyone because she was gone during the day. So she started, and she's looking for her son. She started walking up the stairs, and that's when she noticed the bucket at the bottom of the stairs. She says she removed the blanket that was over the bucket, and she discovered the head of her son. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how awful that must have been for her? Unbelievable. And so, Schabusiness, I don't know how old her son was, but Schabusiness is like 26 years old or thereabouts. So Detective Graff, and so we're going to just continue reading the complaint a little bit, so just bear with me, and then we're going to watch the unenviable task of doing an opening statement in this case. Detective Graff told Schabusiness that a few hours ago, officers were sent to a residence in Green Bay in which the head of the victim was found. Schabusiness' response was, that's pretty fucked up. Schabusiness was asked if she knew the victim. She said she did. Keep in mind, I don't know if she's under arrest or not, but at some point they got to Mirandize her. Detective Graff asked where the rest of the victim's body was, and Schabusiness stated that it was still in the basement. Detective Graff asked her to tell him what happened, and she says her first comments to the detective were, that's a good question. Because she had blacked out during that time. Detective Graff asked Schabusiness if it was just her and the victim in the basement, and she said that there was nobody else down there. So if you stop right there, she blacked out, you kind of, might be able to formulate some kind of a defense. But no, she continues to talk. Schabusiness stated that she and the victim were smoking that bitch, meaning methamphetamine. And Schabusiness stated that she and the victim had used strangulation during sex in the past. So let's say, or let's just say somebody else. Like, let's say my grandmother and grandfather are downstairs and they're into the choking thing. A lot of you guys are into the choking thing, and I'm not. For me, I don't get it, but some people are really into that. If somebody dies, during a sex act and they're choking each other because they're into that, but they don't mean to kill the other person, it's more like manslaughter than it is murder. So, this is where it gets really weird. So, Detective Graff continued to talk to Schabusiness, and she made the statement that, damn, the head. I can't believe I left the head, though, referring to the victim's head. Detective Graff asked Schabusiness where the body was, and she said it was in the basement. Schabusiness responded the police was going to have fun. The police were going to have fun trying to find all the organs as she dismembered the body. You can tell she's just not there. Schabusiness stated all the body parts should be in the basement. Schabusiness stated that there should be a foot or a leg in the minivan. Detective Graff asked Schabusiness what she did with the head, and she stated that she put it in a bucket and put a blanket over the bucket. When here's the other thing with methamphetamine in particular, people get psychotic, and extended long-term use can result in all kinds of mental illness. But they're doing more than just methamphetamine here. Graff asked Schabusiness how she dismembered the body. She stated that she used knives that she obtained from the kitchen of the residence, and that a bread knife seemed to work the best because it had a serrated blade. Schabusiness stated that the knives should be in a black bag along with body parts in the basement. She indicated that she would use whatever bag she found in the basement to place the body parts into. She made the comment that at one point she did get paranoid and lazy and thought it was just the dope making her paranoid. She said the victim produced 2 chains, one for her and one for him. She described the chains as being silver link chain, kind of like a dog collar chain. Schabusiness stated that she went crazy referring to the strangulation of the victim. At one point in the interview, Schabusiness stated that she could feel the victim's heart beating as she was choking him. So as she kept pulling and choking him harder, but the victim would not die, and that she just kept rebuilding into muscle, whatever that means. So now you get into premeditation, because if you can have an intention to kill, right? And you can have the premeditation to form at any point. Graff asked her, at what point did you know that the victim was not alive anymore? And she stated that the victim's face turned purple. Blood was coming out of his mouth, but she did not stop. The detective asked her what she did after he died. Now listen to this. Oh, this is unbelievable. She stated that she then played with his body. Schabusiness stated that she sucked his member. She stated that she had a dildo that she put in the victim's mouth and then in his ass. Detective Graff asked if, when she was choking the victim, if he tried to fight back, and she stated that he did. Schabusiness stated that she then began to choke the victim, and she described it as a victim lying face down on the bed, with her on top of him, pulling on the end of the chain. The victim coughed up blood as she was waiting for him to die while she was watching his face, choking him, right? Schabusiness made the comment that she was already this far, so she just kept on, referring to choking the victim. Schabusiness said in a lower tone of voice, "Yeah, I liked it." Fucking cold. And the detective Graff believed her to be referring to that when she was choking the victim, that she really liked it. Schabusiness made comments that she blacked out while choking the victim, but when she woke up, the victim was already purple, so she kept on going. Schabusiness stated that she enjoyed choking him. It made comments to the detective asking if they knew what it was like to love something so much that you kill it. Really fucked up shit here. Schabusiness stated that she was playing with the victim's body for like 2 to 3 hours, which included the things I mentioned before. Just about done here. The plan was for her to bring all the body parts with her, but she got lazy and only ended up bringing the leg or foot in the van, and she forgot the head. Schabusiness said this wasn't not a pre-planned thing, as you can probably well imagine. Schabusiness made comments that she did not mean to kill the victim, but as she was choking him, she liked it, and she would keep doing it. Schabusiness also made the comment that she was not prepared, as killing the victim was random. Schabusiness stated that she had the victim's body on the bed and in the basement. She was pulling him to the edge. Now listen to this. As she was pulling to the edge of the bed, and she put a black bucket underneath the victim's head as she was cutting the victim's head off. Schabusiness also talked about using the bucket and tote to catch the victim's blood, and that she would use a shower in the basement to dump out the bucket. Schabusiness was asked if she thought it was the right thing to do, and she said that she did it anyway. referring to killing him. And she's got charges of threats or battery to a judge, prosecutor, or law enforcement officer in the past. So, can you imagine having to represent somebody like this? You know, here's the thing. Our system of justice requires it. You know, it does require that everybody gets the same rights. Everybody gets a defense. And so one of the things you can, you know, the defense doesn't have any burden. It's all on the state to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So when you come to the beginning of the trial, after you've selected a jury, and try to find somebody who can be fair, give me a break, comes the time for opening statements. The prosecution goes first, and then the defense gives their opening statement. However, the defense can reserve opening statement and give it in their case in chief. In my experience, I've done this only a couple times. This is one of those times where I would reserve my closing argument and give it in my case in chief. So now we're going to watch this poor soul give this opening statement. And the title of this video is Taylor Schabusiness. Lawyer asks jury to keep an open mind while learning about this horrifying murder. Because one of the things that this is not going to be a trial about whether she did this or not. It's going to be a trial about her brain, about what she was thinking, about just about the thought behind it. So it's going to be a very technical legal argument. So let's watch this poor soul as he is left with the task of defending the undefendable.
Please the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Lassay, Mr. Saunders. Thank you for your service as jurors. We definitely appreciate you being here, serving on the jury, because a jury is an integral part of the court process. Without you jurors, our court system simply couldn't function. The lawyers couldn't do their job, and the court couldn't do its job.
So far, so good, right? Some pretty standard stuff.
So we appreciate your time, your attention to detail, and your anticipated focus over the next several days that you're going to put into this very serious case. Now, in this case, the state of Wisconsin, through the Brown County District Attorney's Office, has the complete burden of proof. The state must prove to all of you jurors.
This is stuff you could say at the beginning of any criminal case. So it's fairly generic, not tailored for this case specifically. But wait.
Beyond a reasonable doubt, each and every element of the crimes charged beyond a reasonable doubt. The United States Constitution presumes that every person who is accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. And in this case, Taylor Schabusiness is presumed to be innocent.
Taylor what?
She doesn't have to prove anything. The defense does not have to prove anything in this case. Why? Because the complete burden of proof rests with the District Attorney's Office, with the state of Wisconsin. They have to prove up all the facts. And in this case, you're going to hear a lot of different facts. You're going to hear a lot of different accounts from witnesses, citizen witnesses, detectives, police officers, experts, DNA analysts, medical examiners, all of that. You're going to have to take all of that information into consideration when you deliberate. But the entire burden rests with the state in this case. My client, Taylor Denise Schabusiness, also has an absolute right to remain silent. Under the law, she has a right not to testify if she's...
There's no way in hell you have your client testify in a case like this. So, a lot of times when I have a case, if my client's going to testify and I know he's going to testify, I'll offer that up. And generally, you're not even supposed to do that, but I do it because it's worked for me in the past. This is the first time I've seen somebody say that she's not going to testify and you can't hold against her, but that's the law.
So chooses, and if she elects not to testify, you cannot use that fact alone against her in this trial. She doesn't have to testify, but she may testify. In this particular case, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Denise Schabusiness was friends with Shad. They went to high school together. They went to school at Bayport, and they had classes together.
They went shopping for kitchen supplies together.
And they were, when they were younger, they dated for a short period of time. But basically, they were friends.
He got angry one time and just lost his head.
You're going to hear some testimony on, it was a Wednesday, February 23rd of 2022.
Remember, that's Molly's birthday.
You're going to hear, I believe, a 911 tape. You're going to hear testimony from Tara Pakinich and Stephen Hendricks. They live at 829 Stony Brook Lane in Green Bay. There was a call from Mr. Hendricks that he apparently went downstairs in the basement and saw a bucket, saw a human head in the bucket, and he had checked it out because his significant other, Tara Pakinich, had initially went down there and saw this and had him go check. He didn't have glasses on, but he apparently called 911, and that caused the officers to come to the scene.
Can you imagine what a horrible scene that it would be for the mom specifically, and then the boyfriend and the cop, for anybody that would come across that? That's like out of a horror movie. And then to have to defend this. There's no winners in this case.
829 Stony Brook Lane. And there'll be some testimony about this residence. It's a small, quaint home. It's got a loft upstairs where I believe Tara Pakinich and Stephen Hendricks were sleeping. And it has a floor level with kitchen, living area, and then it has a basement. And there will be testimony. We believe that Stephen Hendricks last saw Shad at the house on Monday night, which I believe would have been February 21st of 2022. He will indicate that both of them will indicate that they really did not see Taylor Schabusiness leave. They heard a vehicle start, a door slam, caused them to wake up. Officer Wanish, you'll hear from him. He came.
One of the things that, even despite her interview or anything, there's a doctrine in, an a Latin phrase that you learn in law school called res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. And in this case, the dead, dismembered body of this young man kind of speaks for itself in a sense. It speaks volumes.
The house and went down the basement to make some observations that the officers did a protective sweep. They walked around the basement and the entire house to see if there were any other people there on February 23rd, 2022. And the only people that were there were Tara Pakinich, the owner, Stephen Hendricks, and daughter Ava Wheelock. Those people were there. No Taylor Schabusiness was there. She wasn't in the basement.
Taylor who? Schabusiness.
She wasn't in the basement. She wasn't anywhere in the house. But obviously there was some investigation, and evidence was apparently found. And it's true that law enforcement officers didn't have a clear picture or clear understanding of what was really happening or what happened, and so they're trying to figure things out.
Well, some guy's head's in a bucket. I mean, this is just grim. But, one of the things, it sounds like he's just kind of really going through the complaint. You can have a homicide and have it not be questioned as to what happened, but just what does it legally mean? And I've won more homicides on that basis than than I didn't do it.
As they went along. There would be some testimony from other officers with regards to the other scene, which is 2353 Eastman Avenue in Green Bay. That, I submit, was Taylor Schabusiness's apartment. And she lived there with Scott Thoms, Thoms. And law enforcement officers came over there, and my client came out of the apartment complex, and she was arrested. She had a warrant. She was taken into a squad car and taken down to the Green Bay Police Department for questioning by Detective Groff and Detective Kevin Kempf. Also, law enforcement arrested the other person in apartment 1, that was Taylor's apartment, Scott Tomes, and he was ordered to lay on the ground, and he was taken into custody as well. You'll hear from lots of different officers, in this case law enforcement officers. The officers found a gold Chrysler Town and Country minivan, I believe 2006, and they found it parked in the Eastman Avenue parking lot, and there were some concerns about it. Now, this vehicle is owned by Scott Tomes.
And guess what was in there? His foot or a leg.
I believe that will come out that he was the one that owned that vehicle. But inside that vehicle, there was a crock pot box, and there were some human body parts in there.
So, I mean, he really is just kind of going through the complaint. And I don't know how effective this is. I mean, granted, I mean, there's nothing he can say to take your eye off the elephant that's in the room, the dismembered body caused by this woman. I mean, it's no question about it. No way in hell I'm giving an opening statement in this case. I'm going to reserve it, and once, there's a chunk of evidence in, the state's case is in, then I'm going to say, now here's what you're going to hear. Because you get the opportunity to do this at the beginning of your case. And the only defense you have is really a mental health defense. That she was not in her right state of mind when this happened. Or, to argue a lesser included. A lesser included is like you have murder. Murder 2 is a lesser included in murder 1. Depraved heart murder is, it's got different elements, but, you have lesser crimes that you could, because she's clearly guilty of something. But to try to get it off of murder 1, anything less than murder 1 is a victory.
I'd ask that you, when you're considering all of the evidence, don't jump to conclusions. Don't rush to judgment. Please keep an open mind. Listen to all the facts. Listen to what every witness has to say carefully and weigh what they have to say. And remember, there's always two sides to every story. You jurors are going to have to decipher the facts of what may have occurred or what didn't occur. But at the end of the case, we ask that you find our client not guilty on all the counts. Thank you.
What is the theory of the defense's case? From that opening statement, when you have a case and you do your opening statement, this is a case about X, This is a case about a young man who was burned and over 40% of his body and has been suffering and will suffer for the rest of his life. You know what the case is about. What is the defense theory of the case here? You haven't heard anything about it. That's why you don't give that statement. You don't give that opening statement. You hold it back, and then, because what is her defense? Her defense is that I didn't really intend to kill him, and I was out of my mind. So and I went crazy. So it's really more of a mental case. You didn't hear any of that from the defense. All you heard was him just basically reiterate the complaint that I just read you, and he just says you're gonna just keep an open mind. Keep an open mind, nothing to see here. Give me a fucking break. And I don't mean to impugn the character of this lawyer. He's got an unenviable job, but I wouldn't have given my opening statement then. I would have waited. You could do that, and then when you start your case, but maybe you don't have anything, and so why is she going to trial if she's so guilty? Because there's no offer on the table except for probably life without parole. I don't know. I don't remember if Wisconsin still has the death penalty. I think they might. So they're looking at life without parole here, not the death penalty. They haven't had the death penalty for over 150 years in Wisconsin. But what a woman! What a and this is all I can say is this has got to be fueled by drugs and or mental illness. But you didn't hear any of that coming from the defense, did you? You didn't hear. You're going to hear from Dr. So-and-so. You didn't hear. You're gonna see that when all is said and done, that Miss Schabusiness was not in her right state of mind. You didn't get any foreshadowing any of it. All you got was there's a lot of really gross shit in this case, and it's going to point to my client, but you're going to have to analyze people's credibility and just keep an open mind. Could you keep it? I guarantee you that from those two opening statements, the prosecutor probably did a very similar opening statement, except for with just a little more invective. So this is our reaction to Taylor Schabusiness and her trial that's going on right now. There's no question in my mind that she'll be found guilty of everything, and she'll get life without parole. I wish he would have a doctor or somebody to testify about her mental state. But that being said, we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer with our content genius, Michael Rivers, behind every idea, behind the camera, behind the mic, the one in charge, the one large barge in charge. He is the most amazing son any father could have, as he's just shaking his head behind the camera because he doesn't like when I give him props, but he deserves all the props he gets. And we'll make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon, and watch it grow. See you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, police is at my god.